It has been added in the last, roughly the last 3 years, I believe. If you'll bear with me just another second. One of the biggest costs associated with running any governmental entity, and I started out as an auditor of local governments in Tennessee. You have basic overhead, audits, bookkeeping, legal, and that runs roughly 10% of the cost of the Smith County ESD2. And of course you got computers and website and that kind of stuff. And so overhead, we monitor and work on it, but the smaller the smaller the governmental entity is, the larger the administrative cost. A good example, this month we will pay $100,000 just to Smith County Tax Assessor's Office to basically collect the tax, to send out the tax bills. Whether that's fair or not is hard to say. If you look at all the overhead and till you get down to actually direct cost of providing, we this year we have budgeted approximately $1 million for personnel. Only about 25% of our budget goes for directors and personnel to provide daytime coverage at the 11 volunteer fire departments. We pay the firemen that provide that coverage roughly 1/3 of the compensation they would make if they worked for a municipal fire department, Dallas, Longview, Tyler, whatever. Those firemen make, with pay and benefits, make in the neighborhood of $60,000 to $70,000 a year at the beginning level, and we pay roughly 1/3 of that, in which we don't provide any benefits other than an accident policy. So, just to highlight that for you, we're just into our the fiscal year began October 1, and we're just into our second month of the fiscal year, and we're operating on a sound financial basis, and we recently paid for two new fire. Those 2 new fire trucks have been paid for, right? And so even with that, we have a total of $1.9 million in our checking and savings account, and that's to carry us through to the lion's share of the tax revenue. A little bit of it came trickling in November and December, about $500,000, but most of it will come in January, where people get in. They have until the end of January to pay our tax to avoid late penalties. So most of the tax money hasn't come in, so we'll have 2 more months that we have to pay out expenses before we actually receive our tax books, any tax money. Looks like we're in good shape to end up the year with an adequate amount of cash surplus, which includes reserves that have been set up for unusual fire seasons and those kinds of things. And plus paying cash for the 2 fire trucks that we just purchased. That's my financial report for today. I'll entertain any questions from any of the board members.